You want me to put that on my tudger?
This one's wife. I'm not their friend, but she called me. Hello. As you'd expect, it's an Omid Scobie extravaganza as a consequence of the reportage about his forthcoming book, Bell End Game. And this time we turn to Matt Strudwick at the Mail, who leads with the headline, "This one's wife personally rang Omid Scobie after learning he had been sent threats on social media," new book reveals, as Sussex's cheerleader-in-chief insists he is not their friend and never have been. This one's wife phoned Omid Scobie, Hoover, assertion of control, facade management, after learning he had been sent threats on social media, the author's new book reveals. But the Sussex's cheerleader-in-chief insists he is not their friend and never have been ahead of the release of his explosive new book, Bell End Game. Well, in some respects, he's right, because although this one's wife might say that they are friends or regard him as a friend, of course, since she's a narcissist, he can't actually be her friend. He's an appliance which is there to be utilised for the purposes of the assertion of control. This one's wife called Scobie in 2018 on her mobile phone to check on his welfare, facade management and assertion of control over non-intimate secondary source in her fuel matrix, when she was told by a member of her team that he had been harassed on social media, reports The Telegraph. The royal writer insisted in recent weeks ahead of the November 28th release of Bell End Game he is not Meg's pal, he wrote on X. And let's get this nonsense out of the way. Hashtag Bell End Game is about the current state of the British royal family. Let's get this out of the way, Omid. It's not. It's an attempt by your handler to suggest that the British monarchy is in crisis, but all the evidence points that it's not. The crisis is around this one's wife and Harry. Disliked by many people, money running out, nothing in the pipeline. There's your crisis. An individual who has been taken away from his homeland, told that he was trapped there, but then finds himself actually more than trapped in the new world that he's been taken to. Largely unhappy, being dragged around as a celebrity, going to concerts and then having to watch the shit show of behaviour from his wife. That's a marriage that would be seen more likely to be in crisis. The article continues by explaining, it's not this one's wife and Harry's book. I'm not Meg's pal. The Sussexes have nothing to do with it. Well, all the evidence points to the contrary, Omid, but you can keep saying that. Their story is a small part of a much bigger one you can read. While in an interview with Paris Match, he added, I am not their friend and never have been. This one's wife and Harry's favoured reporter has been friendly with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and co-wrote their 2020 biography, Finding Freedom. Sussex insiders have recently indicated to Mail Online that Harry and this one's wife had nothing to do with Scobie's latest release. Me doth think they protest too much, amid a series of extracts being released from the book, which casts cruel jibes at almost every member of the royals, smearing indirect assertion of control. Scobie admits in Bell End Game, it will burn my bridges for good. In order to burn them, Omid, you need to have had the bridges there in the first place, as he vows to tell the full story, having, in the past, I, like others, have held back on revealing some of the darker truths at the heart of the institution of the British monarchy. Ah, what's this, that they're all skin-wearing lizards that drink virgin's blood? Today, King Charles was branded a pampered royal by Scobie in an extract leaked to The Sun. He alleges His Majesty has his shoelaces ironed for him, which may well be accurate. It may well be smearing based upon the truth because the king as a narcissist expects perfection, or he may not have that, but he's still being smeared by Scobie as a consequence of these allegations. Furthermore, he apparently insists on travelling with luxuriously, perfectly steamed 1,000 thread count bed linen. A man needs his comforts, doesn't he? In another snide attack, Scobie says Charles likes to have someone squeeze 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush for him as part of his bedtime routine. That's an old one. Scobie's not revealing anything new there. An extract from the 42-year-old's new book, Bell End Game, published in The Sun, reads, "When laces get even the smallest bit threadbare, a staff member must quickly switch them out with a fresh ironed pair. There is even a rumour, one that surprisingly sources have confirmed, that Charles likes to have someone squeeze exactly 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush for him ahead of his bedtime routine." Excerpts of Scobie's book have been shared with people in the United States, including claims that Harry remained in the dark about the Queen's health in her final moments. It also alleges that it was this one's wife who urged Harry to answer his phone when Charles called him on an unknown number to reveal that the Queen was close to death, before also asking that this one's wife should stay away from Balmoral. If he's not their friend, how the dickens does he know such information as that? Come now, Scobie, you're treating people like idiots. Scobie writes, Charles had cited protocol, but the reality was that Kate chose to stay back to pick up the children from their first day at a new school. They just didn't want this one's wife there, said a former palace aide. This one's wife, a friend added, could sense she wasn't wanted. Really? The book also claims Prince William ignored Harry's texts, smearing, forcing him to charter his own plane. Oh dear, poor Harry, so difficult to do when you're a multimillionaire. William clearly didn't want to see his brother, Bell End Game says. Really? What a surprise. His brothers behave like a complete shit, and therefore his older brother doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Scobie's decision to piggyback the release of his new book on the King's 75th birthday in the sixth and final series, The Crown, was branded deplorable today. Royal journalist and author Phil Dampier previously told Mail Online, "We all know that Scobie is their mouthpiece and he gets his information directly or indirectly from the Sussexes. So anything which is hurtful to Charles, Camilla or William and Kate will just make things much worse. Let's put it this way. I can't see Harry and this one's wife coming over for a family Christmas." He added, "The King has always left the door open for his son and will continue to do so. But in reality, if there are more serious allegations in Scobie's book, it will set back any chance of a reconciliation." Royal courtiers are said to be furious over the claims made by Harry and this one's wife's biographer Scobie, who alleges that Prince William ignored the Duke of Sussex's calls as he raced to be at the Queen's bedside in Scotland in September last year. Accordingly, Scobie maintains, I'm not their friends, not at all. No, I'm not their friend, but she did actually call me. Let's have a quick dive below the line to see if anybody accepts that. Duke of Wyburn, troublemakers and stirrers tend to attract such attention. It's generally self-inflicted. Glamoramo, if only she worried as much about her own and her husband's family as she does about Scobie. Frankie, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. Fulham Lad, his lies continue. Of course he's best friends with me again. Bigfoot 00, he's their friend. He's also a traitor and a weasel. NHS retiree, he could write any nonsense as the royal family will never comment. Shire View, of course Scobie is not this one's wife's friend. She doesn't have friends, just steps to help her along her path. Colin 2564, this excuse for a human being knows no end to his lying and make-believe, and it is the poor pathetic people that buy his fantasy books that keeps enabling this idiot. Ambi Pure, not saying it happened, but it would be a fine self-publicity gaslight to have masterminded this. Or maybe us little people are being gaslighted if ostensible victim is in on it. Who knows? I've no idea. Normally steer clear of this drivel. Omid Scobie protesting that he's not a friend when all of the evidence points to the fact that he is. And, of course, nobody's accepting it either, which is hardly a surprise. He is so firmly wedged up the backside of this one's wife, it's a surprise he can breathe. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.